Well, the Eagles made two moves yesterday, but it's the non-Julio Jones one that might be more interesting. Also, did an NFL insider just confirm Lane Johnson is playing on Sunday? And Jason Kelce, he weighed in on the Eagles' rushing and offensive struggles. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Okay, there's a lot to talk about, but can I just make one point here? Why is Derek Barnett still getting snaps over Nolan Smith? A serious question. Look at these numbers right here by James Eagle. 0 pressures in the last 652 days. 0 sacks in the last 701 days. For reference, 13 Eagles have at least 1 pressure. 9 have a sack in 2023 alone. Like, why is this guy getting snaps? Is Nolan Smith just that bad? Or maybe they're just actually showcasing Derek Barnett as much as possible to try to trade him before the trade deadline? I don't know. Either way, this video circulating on Twitter of Mekhi Becton not only sunning Derek Barnett, but then pointing at him to kind of laugh and say, hey, I own you, not once, but twice. It's really, really embarrassing. It feels like if you want to make some space for additional trades during the trade deadline, you want to free up a roster spot, maybe get rid of Derek Barnett. Now, we've all been waiting for the official word and update on Lane Johnson, and while we haven't gotten one from Philadelphia, we got one from Brian Baldinger, who's the next best thing, honestly. The NFL Network insider, former Philadelphia Eagle. He was on Pardon My Take and just kind of spilled the beans.
I've just worked out over at his barn just like an hour ago, so he's doing fine. He'll be ready for Miami. But
now, we've seen these Baldy, Lane Johnson garage workout videos before, but the fact that Lane Johnson was working out at his garage makes you kind of think that he probably is going to play. And Brian Baldinger surely asked him, like, are you playing on Sunday? And wouldn't have gone on PMT and said, oh, he's going to be fine. Not a problem there at all. And if Johnson was training legs while having an injured ankle, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together here. I have a very, very good feeling that Lane Johnson is going to defy all the odds, defy what I said yesterday, and probably play on Sunday. Yes, we'll wait for the official word. He might be a late scratch. He might not actually play, blah, blah, blah. I know, but I have a good feeling here. And if he does play, that's at least worth, 1,000 likes on today's show? Let's try and get 1,000 likes for Lane Johnson suiting up, gutting through the pain, and playing against the Dolphins on Sunday. Now, the Eagles' rushing struggles have been getting a lot of attention in the national media. Nick Sirianni was asked about it yesterday, and he said, quote, I wouldn't say we had any regrets on how it played out. I thought we did a nice job moving the football. I'm thinking more of the issues are the turnovers, that stalls drives, and runs go down. Now, turnovers were obviously a massive issue for Philadelphia on Sunday, but that 1.6 yard per carry average against the Jets has a lot of Bird fans wondering, why is it so darn low? And plus, why are you only getting 14 carries an entire game when Philadelphia has shown you time and time again that rushing the football has been their bread and butter that creates passing opportunities and deep shots to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Now, Jason Kelce went on 94.1 WIP this morning and kind of backed Nick Sirianni, saying,
I think that happens at times. I'm not gonna. It didn't happen this past week, and I think I went up right after the game, and I think the coaches really we probably should have ran the ball a little bit more and stuff like that. And as a player though, it's hard to ask to run the ball more when it's not working. Like the pass game was actually pretty. It was doing pretty well. I mean, I know second half we started giving up some pressure on Jalen and started making it more difficult, but Jalen and the receivers, those guys were having a decent game outside of the turnovers. We were moving the ball through the air. It's hard to ask for the run game when you're averaging 1.6 yards a carry.
Now, he does make a good point, right? If you're not running the ball well, why keep beating a dead horse? But Philadelphia had a lead almost the entire Jets game until that late interception by Jalen Hurts. You feel like they could have still tried to establish some more runs, burn a little bit more clock, and if you're able to pop one off, that game could have been over before Jalen Hurts threw that final pick. Now, speaking of Jalen Hurts, Kelce said this on 94 WIP today, quote, he hates losing. I'm not going to lie. It affects him for sure. Whenever you lose, you're pissed off, end quote. Here's to hoping we get a pissed off and turnover-free Jalen Hurts on Sunday versus the Miami Dolphins. But back to the running game real quick. I think this all started when they lost Cam Jurgens. I showed you guys the stat yesterday about how the rushing attack the past 3 weeks has started to kind of really gone down, and that kind of correlates with whenever Cam Jurgens went down and was placed on IR. Now, we still have a couple of weeks till Jurgens comes back, and Sua Opeta's filled in just fine, but hopefully Philadelphia can start pounding the rock a little bit better until Jurgens comes back, and then when he does come back, you get the official best rushing team in the NFL storyline and narrative we've seen the past 2 seasons. Oh, and one little side note on Kenny G. If you're wondering why Kenny Gainwell is still getting just snaps at anything, I mean, not just carries, but being in there, he's a better pass protector, as referenced by this video on your screen right now. He's way better than DeAndre Swift. They can't just cycle Gainwell out completely. They have to keep him in there for at least some pass blocking attempts, and in order to disguise the fact that they're going to pass every time Gainwell is in there, they need some carries as well. Perhaps the big story of yesterday was Philadelphia signing wide receiver Julio Jones. Did a live show breaking that down with Josh Davis. this, and it was really, really strange, to be honest. He goes to the practice squad first, then can be elevated very quickly if he's ready to rock. Does that mean he plays on Sunday or not? I have absolutely no idea. On one hand, he's a great mentor, he's a leader, he's a red zone target, a big body. But on the other hand, let's be honest, he's 34 years old, he has hamstrings that will get strained just by looking at the football field, and he hadn't done much for the past 3 teams he's played for over the past 3 seasons. I think Jason Kelce said it best when asked about it this morning. He said, I don't know what the plan is as far as utilizing him as a player, but I think he's a great teammate. You're excited when you sign well-known, great teammate players to your team. Shane Huff made a great point on Twitter when he compared Quez Watkins last year to Julio Jones last year. I mean, the numbers don't really lie here. Julio Jones ranks 163rd in qualifying wide receivers in yards per route run and EPA per targets. It's better than Quez Watkins. Look, 0.3, 1.4, negative 0.23 versus 1.6. Julio Jones is a major upgrade on Quez Watkins, but I don't expect him to make much of a difference. There are already so many mouths to feed in this offense. Quez and Oz combine only 2 targets per game, and they best operate out of the 12 personnel. Now, he's right. Feeding Julio Jones is going to be a big-time question mark, and something that we all got to kind of figure out how it's going to go ahead and work out. But A.J. Brown is obviously excited to go ahead and have him, and apparently, so is Devontae Smith, who said back during 2022, quote, I always like watching Julio's tape. Guys like him, his route running, his ability to separate, he's one of the best to ever do it. Him being a former Bama guy too, it is special. Now again, will we see him suit up on Sunday? I think you gotta wait till later on in the week, so subscribe and hit the notification bell for that. But I do think it's interesting that maybe just from a mentorship standpoint to help out the Brown and Smitty and Jalen Hurts overall offensive attack, maybe he's a better blocker than Quez Watkins and Olamide Zaccheaus, maybe a red zone target, who knows? I'd love your thoughts on the Julio Jones signing down below. But the problem is we all wanted a secondary signing, not another wide receiver signing, and then Howie Roseman, he answered our prayers by just after the Julio Jones announcement, they signed Josiah Scott and released Mario Goodrich. I know, exactly the guy you wanted, right? Scott did spend the past 2 seasons with the Eagles before being cut this offseason and signing with the Steelers practice squad, but I'm more curious about the Jeff McClain tweet here after the Julio Jones announcement where he said more coming. Does that mean more signings are coming, more moves are coming, more info on the Julio Jones stuff? He never really addressed that. But if you want to be a glass half full kind of guy like myself, the trade deadline is still a couple of weeks away, and there have recently been some new additions to the free agent market who Philadelphia could go ahead and sign to help out a depleted and injured secondary. For instance, Steelers nickel cornerback Desmond King, he's being shopped around but eventually will get released according to reports. Or you have the former 4th round safety Jalen Hawkins, who's released by the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. Do either of them fix the Philadelphia Eagles issues? No. What I think will fix them is getting an update on Darius Slay's injury. Will he play on Sunday versus the Miami Dolphins? What about Sidney Brown? He's been a healthy scratch, or at least a scratch, the past couple of weeks, despite practicing on Thursday and Friday with helmets and pads and then being ruled out with that same hamstring injury. But all of us Eagle fans are just wondering, hey, go get a star safety. We mentioned the 3 of them yesterday. Bring one in and just stop all this nonsense of let's see what free agent we could sign here who maybe can patchwork there and maybe make your secondary be a little bit healthier. Now, the weird story yesterday was Donovan McNabb going on 94.1 WIP and causing some controversy when he said,
the complaint from A.J. Brown about not being more involved in the offense and getting the ball.
Yeah.
I go to that because I've seen it before. I understand it. I know as a quarterback, don't want to be involved in it. But what I'm seeing is offensive play calls are being more catered to try to feature instead of establishing a tempo and a consistency from running the football, play action game, quick game, to be able to spread the ball around.
Obviously, he's talking about A.J. Brown, who immediately clapped back at him on Twitter, where he said, quote, with all due respect, I will repeat, that conversation was not about targets. 2 friends bumping heads about something, moved on. Feel like that way, keep that to yourself because the media is going to hold on to everything you say. Out of all people, you should know better. Now, he's not wrong about that. Donovan McNabb has kind of, tinkered with the Eagles media and tried to make some statements here and there. He commented on Jalen Hurts in the past. McNabb gets ripped up and down for never winning a championship, but he still was a really great player, and he does have some experience with the whole dramatic wide receiver. I mean, T.O. was absolutely crazy in terms of demanding targets and causing media frenzies and creating a serious distraction for Philadelphia. Now, A.J. Brown is not T.O. He's not even close to being T.O. in the emotional department or the drama department. And sure, the look on the sideline of the Vikings game wasn't the best, but we're past that. We've moved on. And AJ clearly has moved on because he's had the best 4 straight games of any NFL receiver in the National Football League. He's been fantastic. And to go ahead and kind of negate the whole idea that he's being over-targeted, Devontae Smith clearly had more targets on Sunday versus AJ Brown. Now, if you want to defend Donovan McNabb a little bit here, sure. Maybe the tape shows that Jalen Hurts is keying in a little bit too much on A.J. Brown's side. Dan Orlovsky talked about that on ESPN's Get Up just a couple of days ago. But this whole idea that A.J. Brown is the reason the Eagles' offense is struggling is just simply not the issue. Plus, most of the turnovers that happened for Philadelphia were not targeting to A.J. Brown, right? He's not focusing on A.J. and throwing picks. I believe the second interception was going to not A.J. Brown. You have the DeAndre Swift fumble, and then the interception was going to Dallas Goedert. It's an interesting theory by Donovan McNabb, but it's a theory at best. And I think it's just something that adds some further distraction for a football team that only has one loss, mainly due to turnovers. And if they can get healthy, not turn the ball over, and beat the Dolphins on Sunday night, everything's going to be forgiven. Eagle fans are going to forget immediately and start clapping back at all the rest of the NFL teams on Twitter saying, we're the best team again, we beat Tua and Tyreek, and it'll all be for naught. What do you guys make of the A.J. Brown and Donovan McNabb exchange? Let me know down below. We got a live show happening tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, myself and Josh Davis, where we'll take all of this news stories, probably have updates on injuries as well, and break it all down live for you guys for an hour plus. If you haven't joined us for one of those yet, they're super fun. We do giveaways, we answer questions, and it's a really, really good time getting ready for an NFL Week 7. Hope to see you guys there. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.